Welcome back to this free agency frenzy edition of the Purple Rain podcast. Yes, welcome back to episode 229 of the Purple Rain podcast. You got the Ardarius Washington episode, the Kerry Williams episode, Eric Turner, Chesker Taylor, Marlon Humphrey for a couple of years, the Justin Forsett episode of the Purple Rain podcast. And we are here to talk about all things free agency. Free agency is open today. So much stuff's been going on. But if you're new here and like the content, make sure you like and subscribe. You can follow us on Instagram at the Purple Rain Podcast. You can follow this guy on X and on Instagram at Sutton Def. Follow me on Instagram at simplyas10.prod and on X at simplyas10. Most importantly, gosh, our sponsor, Manscaped. Go on there, use code PRP for 20% off your whole order and free international shipping. Yes, a lot's going on right now. The Ravens did make some moves. Did sign Justin Madubuike back to a 4-year, $98 million contract? I'm pretty sure.
Somewhere in that ballpark, yeah.
Honestly, they reset the defensive tackle market, and I'm going to tip my cap to you, Eric DaCosta, because you made the Chiefs spend a lot of money on Chris Jones, made the Raiders spend a lot of money on Christian Wilkins. But now, it is free agency time, but it's Monday, and the Ravens still have not made a signing yet. Not panicked, but how are we feeling right now?
I am feeling great on this Monday morning, and mainly because, of course, we got Justin Madubuike back. I know that's last week's news, but that is still big news. And again, it reset the market for defensive tackles and forced the Chiefs to kind of overpay for Chris Jones, which, is a good thing for us, in the AFC. But, it is still kind of it does kind of concern me a little bit that the Ravens have not made a move just yet. Now, we know the Ravens not to be too hasty and, to jump at the first opportunity to make something happen, especially when free agency starts. We've seen that in the past couple of seasons. But, man, I am still waiting for Derrick Henry. I'm just going to go ahead and get it out of the way right now. I'm waiting on Derrick Henry to be signed by the Ravens. All the other key top-of-the-line running backs have been taken off the board. One has been put back onto the board, and Aaron Jones, we'll get to talk about him in a little bit. But, man, I'm waiting for that big notification. And, hey, we may get it while we are on stream right now. So we already got 72 people watching live right now. So thank you guys so much for joining this show. Obviously, we might be anticipating something big. So make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel as well. We're going to get into everything we need to talk about here when it comes to NFL free agency, man. Let me see.
Yeah.
Let me see what we got here. We got to bring up who's in the live chat. Make sure you sound off in the live chat here as we normally bring you guys up. Says, what's good, gang? Says Chike. What's going on, Chike? We got the mod K-Dog in the house. Says hashtag replay gang. Oh, yeah. If you're not watching this episode of the Purple Rain podcast live, you happen to be part of the hashtag replay gang. Thank you so much for joining this episode. We appreciate you. Make sure you leave a like on the video. We'd appreciate that. Let me see. We got Max Offit in the building. We got Cameron Hines in the building. We got Black Daniels, mod Black Daniels, that is to you. Says Sutton just woke up because it's 6:30 p.m. LOL. I mean, you know what? We're here. You know what I'm saying? We're here. We're ready to talk Ravens. Appreciate you for coming through, Black Daniels. We got Dre in the building. Void is in the building as well. Raven for Life 716. You guys are already sounding off, going crazy in the chat. We appreciate that. Killer Cam is back. What's going on, Cam? Tanja Bowman, the Purple Rain Pioneer, is here. Man, you guys are in full effect right now. Black Daniels giving another shout out to the replay game. Go ahead, bro.
Got some news right here. Not Ravens, but the Giants just traded for Brian Burns. Brian Burns is now a Giant. From one ass team to another ass team. I am so sorry for you, Brian Burns. You're too good to be on these types of teams.
Yeah. That I did not know that. That must have just came through, like just now.
Just came out.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's a lot of big news. This is what I love about this time of year. This is around the time of year where I finally start getting back to being excited about the NFL again, and especially, of course, our Ravens. Because up until this point, it really hasn't been, the morale hasn't been high. Like a lot of us are still reeling from that AFC Championship game loss. Kind of hungover from that a little bit. But we got the signing of Justin Madubuike out of the way after, we thought we were going to have to franchise tag him. We signed him, and now here we are in free agency with a prime opportunity to make a move that moves the needle for this Baltimore Ravens team, specifically the offense. You guys know who I'm talking about. I just brought him up 2 minutes ago. But that's what we're here to talk about today, guys. And what I want to do before we talk about, everything else, right? I want to talk about some of the big moves that have happened thus far around the league, right? And one of the bigger moves, and I just want to get this out of the way, the Steelers. So our rival, the Ravens rival, the Steelers, they have been linked to, not even linked to, it's pretty much confirmed now. Russell Wilson will be a Steeler next season. So I want to get your reaction to this, Alex. And of course, if you're in the chat right now, sound off your reaction. What do you think that says about the Steelers? What do you think it says about Kenny Pickett? What do they think about Kenny Pickett? To me, of course, it says they do not trust Kenny Pickett. I mean, after what happened last year, not really much of a production change when Mason Rudolph got in there or Mitch Trubisky got in there. So they just kind of said, you know what? We're going to go ahead and get a veteran guy, right? And, we're going to have him compete with Kenny Pickett for the starting job, and they'll see how that goes. And I think it's kind of like a foregone conclusion. Most people know Russell Wilson will probably get the nod and get the starting job. But what was your reaction, Alex, to when you first heard that Russell Wilson will be a Steeler?
So it was last night. I was actually about to go to sleep, and then I get the news, and I'm like, it's just so Pittsburgh Steelers. Like, this screams 9-8 next year for them. Screams it. This is going to be a team. You're going to have a guy like George Pickens, who we've seen get mad on the sideline, have straight up outburst. And you're going to have a guy like Russell Wilson, who is a great guy. Don't get me wrong. But this is the same guy who was telling his teammates in Denver to scream whether it was a pass or a run when they were on the sidelines. I don't think it's going to work. I think it's going to be hilarious. I think he's going to win. Russ will be the week 1 starter. Kenny Pickett will be on the bench, and you'll see Kenny Pickett by like week 8, week 9. I'm telling you this right now. It's not going to be what people think it is. Russ is going to get his money. I'm all for it. But yeah, I don't know. Over under 6.5 weeks before you see George Pickens throw his helmet on the sideline. I'm going with the under.
No, that's not a bad take right there. I mean, I definitely think that the personalities between a Russell Wilson and a third-year George Pickens, who kind of feels like he's entitled to finally get something going. It might be a little bit of his offense, right? They might butt some heads a little bit. We'll see. But again, my initial reaction, like I told you guys on the last episode of the show, I don't understand the whole concept of, I guess what they call bridge quarterbacks nowadays, right? Like signing a quarterback that is not going to immediately win you a championship. Well, let me correct that. Signing an aging quarterback whose obvious best days of football are behind him. I don't know what that's necessarily going to do for your franchise. I mean, I think you'd be better off just going back to the wishing well, drafting a guy and hoping that he turns into your franchise quarterback. That's what I would do. But maybe the Steelers think that they have an open window right now, and all that they're missing is a Russell Wilson at quarterback to get them over the hump and into the Super Bowl. Who knows? Maybe that's the philosophy that the Steelers and what's his name, their GM Khan, Mike Tomlin, Omar Khan. Yeah, thank you. Maybe that's what they're rolling with, but to me, it doesn't really make sense. Black Daniel says here, I still don't know how I feel about that, but they are looking for a savior. It's clear that they don't trust that QB room. Yeah, they don't at all. They don't trust the QB room, and it's been obvious. I mean, not Mitchell Trubisky, but Kenny Pickett, man, just not it. He hasn't really shown you any like equalizing kind of capabilities either. It's not like he has a huge arm like Justin Herbert. It's not like he has the wheels like a Lamar Jackson or a Josh Allen. You know what I mean? So it's just, or the cerebral kind of just tendencies that like a Joe Burrow would have, and like that kind of like ace quarterback archetype. He doesn't have any of that. He hasn't shown any of it. So we don't really have much to go off of when it comes to, does this guy have more upside to him? You know what I mean? So Wilson to the Steelers, it's like, hey, welcome to the AFC North. You're going to see just how nasty it is from week 1. Okay. I don't know the schedule yet, but you will see. You will see just how daunting this division is. Okay. See, Dylan says here, Russ is a massive upgrade from Pickett, but I also think he will play better than he did in Denver. That's an interesting one, because I'd argue that in Denver, he had a good set of weapons to make shit happen. You know,
Yep.
And in Pittsburgh, he's dealing with George Pickens and really, who else? I mean, is Deontay Johnson going to be?
Deontay might not be there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's just, I don't really know. Maybe they plan on going to the draft. I don't know what position they hold in the draft right now, but maybe they have a high enough pick to maybe draft another young wide receiver to pair up with Russell Wilson. I was going to say Russell Westbrook, Russell Wilson, but it just doesn't really seem like the end all be all type of move for me.
Right. I mean, they have what, pick 20, I believe. So you can get a receiver. That's not a question, but your line. What's up with the tight end room? We haven't seen much from Muth. Darnell Washington was just a body out there last year. And then defensively, what are you going to do about your linebackers right now? We talked about that last episode. Defensive backs, short there. A lot of question marks there. So good luck, I guess. Could always been worse. Could have gotten a worse quarterback, but it could have been better, maybe. So we'll see. Yeah. Steelers country like pride. There you go.
Yeah.
That's what you want.
Okay, so kind of moving on from that and getting into, by the way, we have over 100 people watching live right now. Thank you all so much for joining this episode of the Purple Rain podcast. Make sure you leave a like on the video, as we got a lot to talk about here tonight on this episode of the show. But staying within the AFC North, let's go over to our Ravens really quick, okay? Let's go ahead and see what the Ravens have been doing, which is basically nothing right now. We haven't signed anybody, but we have lost a couple players to this point. And I want to bring up the few players that we have lost. Of course, I think one of the bigger names, Geno Stone, who recorded 7 picks last season, had an all-pro season basically. He is now a Bengal, right? So like I said, sticking within the AFC North, he goes from the Ravens to the Bengals, and like our guy Lamar Jackson said, I don't know if you guys have seen the tweet, you're dead to me. You're dead to us. I think it was more of a joke than anything. But yeah, man, I mean, how are you feeling about Geno Stone going to the Bengals?
Yeah. So I think we all kind of expected him to leave. I know I did.
Yeah.
Definitely not to the Bengals. I know that they had their deficiencies in the secondary, but I was thinking more of a Packers. But when you see they sign Xavier McKinney from the Giants, it was kind of expected. But to see the Bengals, man, that one hurt. Homegrown guy, just seeing him get better and better. I'm not gonna like seeing Geno in Bengals colors, but I can't get mad at him. You're a 7th round pick. You're making $16 million. You had 7 picks last year. I'm happy for him. Some a good guy. Just hope he has his worst games against us. You probably feel the same exact way. Hope he blows some coverages against us. Whiffs on some tackles for those 2 games. I'll be happy.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of like, again, a foregone conclusion that we weren't going to be able to keep him. And, that's one of those positions where it's like, okay, we've got a Marcus Williams, we've got a Kyle Hamilton. We're pretty deep. We're pretty set at safety. You know what I mean? Especially with Kyle Hamilton for the long run. I believe that he is going to be our main answer at that position group. So, again, all the best to Geno Stone. But, yeah. Gonna be hoping that he gets burned a couple times by this Ravens offense. So we'll see what happens there. And if you're a Bengals fan and you're listening to this, you got a good player. I mean, he's an opportunist. I'm not gonna say that he's like a lockdown ball hawk safety. I think a couple of his interceptions last year was kind of like right place, right time. Which, hey, if you're a safety, that's what you want to do. That's where you want to be. You want to be in the right place at the right time. But I don't foresee him getting 7 picks next season as a Bengal. I just don't. I'm thinking maybe like 2 or 3, if I'm being completely honest with you. So again, glad he got his money. Like Dre says here, definitely glad he got his money. Although that was really disappointing considering, Geno Stone, we really lifted him up this past season after what he was able to do. So yeah, it hurts, but we wish him the best, right? Yeah. Just not against the Ravens.
I mean, maybe we can take T. Higgins from them. Who knows?
Yeah, so T. Higgins. They put the tag on T. Higgins and he requested a trade, because he wants that long-term deal. And I was thinking about it. I saw somebody on Twitter say, wouldn't mind having T. Higgins as a Raven, and because all of us have been talking about, hey, look, a bigger body receiver. T. Higgins is 6'4". We could use that. He's a proven receiver. I mean, like, I'm not gonna lie, I don't hate it. But I also don't love it. I don't love it either.
Yep.
I think that there are, again, I'm sticking with what you said a couple episodes ago, man. Draft the receivers. Keep going to the well, drafting these receivers, man, and get a running back in free agency. That's my philosophy, just like what you were saying the other episode. And yeah, let me see. And Dre says here they would never trade Higgins to us, though.
No.
Hey,
No.
Yeah. I don't think so either. But hey, all right. So moving on to the next Raven who we lost, right? So our touchdown machine, Gus Edwards, is now a part of the LA Chargers, joining forces again with offensive coordinator Greg Roman. This was. It kind of hurt. It kind of hurt just because of the amount of production that we got from Gus Edwards, touchdown wise, right? Last season alone, that was huge for us. Knocking on the doorstep within 2-3 yards of the end zone. We're gonna give it to Gus, and he's probably going to get it. He's such a north-south runner. I think there was a crazy stat like 0.7% of the time or something like that. He had negative runs or something like that. He had a very, very low percentage of negative runs in his career with the Baltimore Ravens. So we appreciate everything that Gus Edwards was able to do for us as a Raven. But he's a Charger now. And now that actually leaves a glaring hole on the running back room for that kind of power running back. You know what I mean? So I want to get to Derrick Henry and the running backs in a minute after we get done talking about the other Ravens who left.
Okay.
But how are you feeling about Gus Edwards departing and joining the Chargers?
I'll be honest, I was expecting him to come back. I don't know about you. After seeing all the running backs go, Jacobs, Saquon, Pollard, Swift, even Singletary from the Texans, I was like, okay, well, Henry's probably going to be out of our price range. So what we'll do is probably we'll re-sign Gus, maybe sign maybe a C level running back. And the Ravens have hit on some of those guys in recent years. And then we'll wait for Keene to get healthy, probably draft a running back, have Justice Hill. But I saw this and I'm like, wow, like this actually might change our philosophy. Because now, are you going to sign J.K. Dobbins back? Well, love him. Love 27 to death. But he has shown you he cannot stay healthy. So you're going to roll Justice Hill, a rookie, and who else? Because Keaton Mitchell won't be back until week 11, week 12. I'm going to keep on going the later, the better, because I don't want to rush it back. But I think it's going to make us change our philosophy. I don't know if you're agreeing with me, feel the same, but it feels like
you mentioned just now. I mean, the Ravens have been good at bringing in like C-level guys and kind of like turning them into B- type of guys. You know what I mean? But that's not going to change the philosophy. I mean, we saw what happened in the AFC Championship game. We did not feel comfortable running the football. When push comes to shove against these really, really good teams in the playoffs, we have to, as the kids would say, stand on business and run the damn football like we are known to do. And I just don't think bringing in a C-level, not quarterback, a C-level running back is going to move the needle or change the philosophy and force John Harbaugh and this coaching staff to say, hey, look, we have that guy. Why don't we run the damn football down their throat? They're not doing that with Justice Hill. I mean, like you said, Keaton Mitchell, we don't know when he's going to get back. But I think that this is the back is against the wall to make a big move, to make a big splash for a big time running back at this point. Let me see what you guys are saying here. Dre says, kind of had a feeling Giro was going to get Gus. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that he's happy to get, such a consistent runner like Gus Edwards back. That's perfect for Greg Roman. Yeah. Now, I see somebody bringing up in the chat, Aaron Jones, who, was released today from Green Bay after they picked up Josh Jacobs. That was another interesting name. What do you think about that?
Oh gosh, it screams Baltimore Ravens. It screams a good player that we don't have to give up any assets for. I don't think we have to give the comp pick either, since he got cut. I'm not a huge guru with that. You can let me know if I'm wrong, but that screams a Baltimore Ravens signing. Definitely wouldn't hate it. He actually will, offer a threat receiving as well. I mean, I know that from having him in fantasy, and That was always a good reason why I would pick him up. I wouldn't hate it, honestly. If we don't get Henry, I think Aaron Jones would be a pretty good replacement as well. Just durability. I know he missed some games last year. That's kind of what I'm worried about. It feels like the Ravens have an everlasting rotating door of running backs, and it feels like it's been that way for years now. We can never have a set guy for 3 years because they're always changing. That's just maybe the running backs in 2023 and 2024.
Yeah, man, and again, as much as I like the idea of having an Aaron Jones, what I think almost 5 yards a carry last season is a little bit I-word prone, right? The durability is a little bit of a concern, but it's just for me. I'm looking at it. If we bring in an Aaron Jones, I feel like the philosophy will not change. It kind of feels, when I think of Aaron Jones, I kind of think of Dalvin Cook, and that might not be a fair comparison at this specific time because Aaron Jones is coming off of a pretty good season, but in terms of in the eyes of the coaches, again, when push comes to shove, are we really going to lean on an Aaron Jones to be able to lean on these teams and close out games? I don't think we will. I still think that we put the ball in Lamar Jackson's hands and he ends the season with the most rushing yards on the team if we get an Aaron Jones.
And you can I make a crazy statement? I don't know if you can disagree with me or not. It feels like Joe Flacco had better running backs than Lamar Jackson did as a quarterback. I look at McGahee, Rice, guys like those. Like our most consistent running back with Lamar Jackson has been Gus Edwards. It has. Outside of that, none of them has been able to stay healthy. I would love if we could get a guy like a Willis McGahee type running back who I think he got him like 3 years into his career and he was a fucking monster for us. I would love that. I just don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm tired of us depending on Lamar for his legs. I don't, and that's just like the simple truth. I want us to have a guy who we can finally trust at the running back. Like, wow, like our quarterback doesn't have to be our fucking leading rusher every single year. We've seen what happens when he goes down. It's not good.
Yeah, I mean, and again, Lamar Jackson going into year 7 of his career, and yes. I just think that the more miles you put on Lamar Jackson by making him run the ball, it's not like Lamar Jackson takes the biggest hits or anything like that. I just think that if we want Lamar Jackson to be around for as long as possible, we need to, give him somebody who we trust running the football, who he trusts running the football. And like you said, I don't think we've had that for the past couple of seasons, to be honest with you. And you bring up a good point. I mean, a lot of our running backs have gone down with I-words, have been inconsistent. And in the Flacco days, we had a more solid running game, So it does really feel like we're a little bit too reliant on Lamar Jackson's legs. And it's felt that way since we drafted him, quite frankly. So getting into, there's one more player, right? There's one more player that we did lose today. And it is Devin Duvernay. Devin Duvernay, we lost him to the Jaguars, who he actually got signed to a pretty good deal. I can't remember the exact numbers on it, but shout out to Devin Duvernay because he's getting paid for sure, and that's a loss right there that I also can't really be mad about. I can't be mad about that. We're gonna need as much cap space as we can possibly get, and a guy like Devin Duvernay has proven to be kind of expendable, for lack of better words. And, all the best to Devin Duvernay. He's had some great plays with the Ravens. There were a couple of moments in time where we thought that Devin Duvernay could transcend, or at least I know I did, transcend into kind of like maybe like a low end wide receiver 2 or 3. It was crazy. I mean, crazy times back a couple of years ago. You guys remember when he had that? You remember we started the year real hot, year before last? He had like, 2-3 touchdowns in the first 4 or 5 weeks, something like that.
That Bengals game, he was cooking Sunday Night Football. I remember. Yeah. He was like playing the wide back. I'm guilty of saying he could become a poor man's Deebo Samuel. I'm guilty of that. I'll eat that one.
I think I do remember that.
I thought Duvin Prove were the next, give me any good wide receiver duo. I really thought they were going to be the next big thing, and they weren't. And Dre, I can't agree with you more. I think Tylen will do good in his role. We saw him take that punt back. I think Justice Hill can take that role as a kick returner. He had a couple of nice returns and he showed some burst. So happy he got his money. Thank you for the comp pick.
Right.
And hopefully down there in Jacksonville, he can make something happen.
Yeah, I mean, if there's one thing that we know about this Ravens team, we're going to be straight when it comes to special teams for sure. Black Daniel saying here, watch him actually become a wide receiver. That'd be interesting to see if he does get a lot more time at wide receiver in Jacksonville. Okay, so we lost Devin Duvernay. We lost Geno Stone. We lost Gus Edwards. Those are three names that have kind of been mainstays in Ravens flock, Ravens kingdom, whatever you want to call it, for the past couple of years. So things are starting to shake up, man. Things are starting to shake up. We've lost some guys. Who are we going to get is the question, right? Now, the big talk is about running backs, right? Running back. I mean, Keaton Mitchell, again, we don't know when he's going to come back, probably sometime mid to late next season, considering when he tore, was his ACL? Yeah, when he tore the ACL. It's going to be a while. So right now we're looking at Justice Hill and who else? You know what I mean? So looking at what's transpired today, and I want to bring up the list here because there's a couple of running backs that were on the board this morning that are currently off the board. So
a running back just signed, Austin Eckler to the Commanders.
Oh,
11 mil. Reunites with former head coach Anthony Lynn.
And you know what? I've seen a lot of people on Twitter talking about how a lot of Commanders fans, that is, talking about how they do not want Austin Eckler. Austin Eckler has been getting a real bad rap recently, you know, because people are saying like he runs like he has on jeans. He's running in the mud. Like he's slow. Yeah, exactly. So it's just, I don't know. I can't really say. Yeah, it is. I would have been kind of upset if we would have gotten an Austin Eckler too. I'm not gonna lie. Now, of course, Austin Eckler, we've known what he's been able to kind of do in the passing game over the past couple of seasons, right? And that's where he kind of makes his money, kind of being that dual threat running back. But the explosiveness is just not there, you know. So don't really know what the Commanders are gonna get in terms of high end upside potential out of that guy, but more power to him. What was the deal again?
I think 2-year 11.6, 2-year deal 1.6 mil. I'm pretty sure. Now, what happens with Brian Robinson? You know, I'm a pretty big fan of his. If you don't want him, hey,
I think we lost Alex. We lost Alex there. He should be back any minute, guys. No worries. Yep, here he is. Get him back in here.
Yeah, the new Commanders owner just kicked me off for mentioning.
All good, bro.
Yeah, if you want him, I take him. But yeah, I don't know what's going on with these Commanders right now. And who's your quarterback? Is Jaden Daniels going to take him? You're going to take, who are you going to take? They're a bit of a question mark.
Interesting. Very interesting stuff here coming from the Commanders. I know they were linked to actually getting Patrick Queen as well at one point. I saw that in the news, which I thought was also very intriguing. Now, let me go through some of these other running backs, right, that have been already taken off the board. So you've got, and I actually sent you a DM with a very interesting tweet about it, the running back market so far. So we got Saquon Barkley, who is now an Eagle, right, making $12.6 million per year. Josh Jacobs, $12 million a year, and he's now with the Packers. Tony Pollard, where did he get signed again? Escaping me.
Titans,
right? $8 million a year. DeAndre Swift, $8 million a year. Devin Singletary, $5.5 million a year. So the only top end running back who is left on the board for the Ravens to go after is Derrick Henry. That is the only running back that me and you both agreed that the Ravens should definitely go after in the very last episode of the Purple Rain podcast, right? Just last Thursday. We said it. He's the only one left. I have heard rumors. There have been rumors leaked on Twitter that the Ravens have been in contact with Derrick Henry. So all I'm saying, man, I mean, is the market is set. The market is set right now. I don't know what Derrick Henry and his agent are going to be asking for. I would assume that it's probably about $13 million. at this point, considering that Saquon Barkley got 12.6, Josh Jacobs got 12. I'm thinking 13 million. That's probably what they're at the table negotiating for right now as we speak. So not exactly sure what the cap situation for the Ravens is looking like at this very specific moment, but that is a deal that would behoove the Ravens to get done. Because again, man, the only way that you're going to change the philosophy of this offense is if you plug in that monster, 6'4", 250-pound Derrick Henry. That's the only way. Let me see. Engraven Vids is in the house. What's going on, Engraven? Appreciate you for coming through. Engraven says 13 mil per. I doubt he would get more than Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs, but yeah, I could see them asking for it. I mean, if you're a good agent, you got to be asking for that, right? You're not going to say, we'll take a little less than Saquon. At least they're not going to come out the gate asking for that. We might negotiate down to that, but what do you think, Alex?
Let me pull up how many games Derrick Henry's played per year, because I think he has that over Saquon as well.
Yeah, he does.
Think he's played in more games, been healthier, been more durable. I think you bring that up, and I think he's going to want equal or damn near pretty close to what Saquon got, and I don't think the Ravens give that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if we've restructured guys yet. Don't know if we've made some internal moves. Yeah, man.
Or maybe it's one of those things where under the table, right behind closed doors, there is kind of like one of those handshake deals. Like, hey, you know what I mean? Give us some time. We're going to work something out. We're going to restructure some guys. We're going to make some cuts. And then we'll come back to you in maybe a couple of days or so. Maybe this is the type of deal that gets done before the week is out. I mean, it's Monday right now. Today is Monday, March 11th. Maybe it gets done by Thursday by the time we go live. You know what I mean? I think that's a very real possibility. What do you think?
We're Ravens fans. Was any of us expecting us, were we? I wasn't expecting us to sign anybody. I'm not expecting us to sign anybody today. We didn't do it when we signed Marcus Williams and Morgan Moses. Didn't do it last year because we had the whole Lamar Jackson stuff. Only guy we signed before we signed Lamar was Nelson Aguilar. I'm not sitting here really worried about that. I know we're gonna sign people. After last year, if you don't trust Eric DeCosta, I don't know what to tell you. He put out there a championship level roster. It's not his fault that our running backs weren't given carries. It's not the Ravens way. Yeah, I would like for it to change, but I've accepted it. We're gonna make moves. We're gonna sign people. Your handshake agreement comment, that very well could be in play, and it wouldn't surprise me because I think Lamar Jackson's probably been in contact with Derrick Henry as well. I think he wants to play with him.
I do too. And again, I mean, like we've said on the past episodes of the show, that would be literally, I think, the scariest backfield in the NFL, having Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry right there for those QB read options. Oh my goodness, man. It would be insane the amount of conflict that would put on a defense, just knowing that you can either deal with King Henry coming up the middle, or you can deal with Lamar Jackson going up the sideline and around the tackles. I mean, that is just, I don't even know how you stop that. You know what I mean? I just think that it would literally force defenses around the league to readjust to the Ravens offense, not to what they did last year in 2023, but it will force them to readjust. I talk about this all the time on the podcast. I've said it year after year after year after year. The Ravens, we kind of go from catching the league off guard, taking the league by storm, to kind of being figured out the next year, and then just kind of repeating that cycle. You know what I mean? Last year took the league by storm again. Todd Monken, new offensive coordinator. Lamar Jackson, new deal. Let's roll. Y'all saw what happened, right? AFC Championship game, destroying the dominant teams in the NFL, right? All the way up until the AFC Championship game. This year, I think we need that extra piece to make it happen again, because the window is only going to get smaller. You know what I mean? It's only going to get smaller. I mean, people think our window might be wide open like this. It's not. It's getting smaller and smaller. Why? Because we have a Lamar Jackson under contract. He's one of the top paid quarterbacks in the league, and we're going to have to eat his a salary cap hit every year. So it's just, I think you got to go all in. with a guy like Derrick Henry right
Yeah.
now. You have to go all
We
in.
do.
Because based off of what we saw in the AFC Championship game, when push comes to shove and you have to run the ball, I think that our coaches will be a lot more comfortable. You know, if we're down 3 or we're down 7, right? They'll be a lot more comfortable saying, okay, everybody step back, take a breath. We have Derrick Henry, right? We're going to give him the football, right? I think that they trust that a little bit more than they would, hey, Gus, bring us home, do your thing, right? Gus is good for goal line carries, right? We've kind of known that this past season. But Derrick Henry, not even saying that he has to be like a 3-down back kind of guy, but he has to give the defense something to respect. That's what Derrick Henry does. He gives the defense something to respect and something to have anxiety about, something to game plan for, and that's what's most important to me. And I think for this Ravens team, do you agree with that?
I do agree with that. I'm worried about, it feels like we piss our pants whenever we go down. Like Black Daniel says, that's a problem. Push came to shove, they didn't run the ball. And that's why I wanted Mike McDonald a head coach. I do think that's a hardball problem. Don't know when that'll be fixed. I hope it's soon. But it just feels it's the same thing over and over again. We go through it and we sit here and talk about it year in and year out, and nothing changes. That's the worst part about it.
I just think that the Ravens wouldn't be so susceptible to getting bullied into not playing their own game if they have a Derrick Henry back there.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? Like, why? How are you going to bully us? We got the bully, right?
Yep.
We have the bully at running back. So I just think that it makes all the sense in the world to just pick this guy up for multiple reasons, for production reasons, for, offensive coaching, philosophy reasons. I think that, of course, Todd Monken can have a field day with him. It's not like Derrick Henry is a one-trick pony either. I mean, yes, he's 30 years old. Yes, we know him for, being like that guy who just kind of pounds it up the middle, gets the full head of steam, and it's hard to bring him down. But, I mean, he can also be viable in the passing game as well. I mean, we've seen that literally happen against the Ravens. I mean, you get the guy out in space, you get the guy going. He's like a train, right? You get him chugging. He's very hard to bring down. So I think there's a lot of things that you can do with him to justify paying the 12 to 13 million for him. I mean, yes, it's hard. There would have to be some restructures, but at the end of the day, this game, not even this game, I mean, this league, the NFL, it's about winning championships. If you do not win the championship, all the moves that you made in the past season, I mean, they're for nothing. They were for nothing. Yeah. We can talk about the moral victories all we want. We talked about how much of a moral victory it would be just to make it to the AFC Championship game. But now that we've made it, now what? Are we going to settle for that? Alex, I'm asking you right now, what is the expectation, right, for the Ravens going into next season? Is it, hey, AFC Championship game or bust, or is it Super Bowl or bust? Because I know for me, it's Super Bowl or bust at this point.
It's got to be Super Bowl.
Exactly.
It's got to be you go one step further than you did the past year, and that's a Super Bowl. It's really that simple. Yeah. Lamar is a Henry, Likely, and Andrews, and give me another receiver as well. I see some comments saying that, talking about EDC. I see EDC always fails his team. EDC fails his offense. How do you trust EDC? Dude hasn't done anything for the offense. Lamar does all the hard work. Let's be real. How do you feel about
that? I cannot sit up here and demonize Eric DeCosta for us running the ball 6 times in the AFC Championship game. Because again, excuse me, if we did not run the ball 6 times in the AFC Championship game, I don't think that Ravens flock down here is making this comment, to be honest with you. I think EDC has made a plethora of moves that kind of have even put us in that position to begin with, So no, I can't really put the blame or the onus on EDC for the downfall, the shortcomings of the Baltimore Ravens. But yeah, I just can't. I'm trying to justify it in my head just a little bit, but I can't do it, man. But I will say that he definitely does need to make a push to get Derrick Henry on our team. And that's why, I mean, the rumors have already started. I mean, I saw it on Twitter. The rumors have started. The Ravens have been linked to wanting to get Derrick Henry. I think the Ravens and the Cowboys, I heard from another source, were linked to maybe trying to go ahead and get Derrick Henry.
That's the only 2 teams, I think, that really Henry would go to, contending-wise. And I'm right there with you. I really can't blame EDC. Now, I'll tell you this, 2022, hell yeah, I can blame him. The receivers he put out there were piss poor. They were awful. Last year, only thing maybe is the guard position, but you just signed your quarterback. You want to get him, receivers, and he did. Only thing he maybe could have done else was get D-Hop. Unfortunately, D-Hop was making a lot of money with the Titans, and he made a lot of money to not win. So that was D-Hop's decision. I'm not going to sit here and get mad at that because you had the choice. The Chiefs wanted him. The Ravens wanted him. And you went to the Titans. You got your money. Not mad at that, but that's your choice.
Yep.
But right now, I think our line, you got to sign some guys there. Running back, you got to sign, and I would like another receiver. Maybe we address that in the draft, but maybe there's a tier 3 guy out there that we get. But yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and burn down the house about it. There's time. It's literally been 7 hours since the free agency started. Like, I've seen a lot worse. I've been a fan of this team for my whole life. I'm not really gonna sit here and let it ruin my day, ruin my week. We'll be fine. We're gonna make the playoffs. We're gonna win the division. We're gonna be an 11, 12 win team minimum with Lamar Jackson at quarterback. The sky's not falling, Chicken Little. Trust me, it's not falling.
Ravens Flock says EDC has not even replaced our right guard or left guard. Y'all are banking on Andrew Voorhees and Ben Cleveland. EDC ain't cooking nothing.
I'm not banking on either one of them, honestly. Zeitler hasn't been signed yet. We have interest in the former Patriot guard, I believe. And who knows what we do with a first round pick? And there's probably another guy we sign. Like, so, like if we're in June, or maybe I'm worried. I'm worried, yes. But right now, I'm not.
Yeah. I definitely think that the Ravens will address the guard position in the draft very heavily. I do believe that. And of course, wide receiver as well. I think that they go back to the well and try to go ahead and get another receiver. Your thoughts?
Can I give a shout for a guard? Bradley Bozeman just got released.
Bring him back.
I liked him at guard. He can play guard center. I don't hate it. I don't think he'd be that much money. And then it's a guy who knows the offense, knows the line, knows the guys on the line. Just saying, I wouldn't hate it at all.
Yeah. Either way, lots of moves to be made for the Ravens. Lots of holes on the offense to be patched up, man. And I definitely think that, again, they address the offensive line in the draft. But again, this running back situation needs to be dealt with right here and right now because we're running out of time. And I'm going to be very upset. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be very upset, Alex, if I get that notification that Derrick Henry went elsewhere other than the Ravens, because it means that we're not doing enough, man. We're not doing enough. And there's a hump that we're trying to get over here as a team. It looks like you just got some big news. I can see it.
Ronald Darby to the Jaguars, 2 years worth $10 million. We took Ronald Darby last year, who nobody wanted in August. Nobody wanted him. 2-year, $10 million deal. First day of free agency. Another reason I'm not stressing. We do it every year. We find some random guy to have a career year with us and go elsewhere for money. I'm happy for him.
Yeah.
But we got him literally as training camp was starting.
I'm processing this one, bro. I'm processing this one.
EDC somewhere celebrating this one. There's another comp pick for the year.
Yeah, you're right. Man. Yeah, and Black Daniel says here we got that man paid. Hey, it happens. It happens, man. Like Alex said, we've been doing this for the past couple of years, kind of revitalizing careers, and then they go elsewhere. But I keep thinking about this running back position. I don't want to keep harping on it. Make sure you guys listen. If you're part of the replay gang, you're not watching the live stream, right? Leave your comments down below on what you think of this whole free agency frenzy situation. Do the Ravens still go after a running back at this point? Do they relax and chill? Do they go after one in the draft? What do you think needs to happen, basically, right now with the Ravens?
Dwayne, I promise you, I'm not content with the Ravens just making the playoffs. I despise the Chiefs. I honestly despise them for being so good. I'm not content at all.
No.
I haven't been content since we paid Flacco. I gave us the 1 year to be 8-8. missed the playoffs after that, and I've been upset since. Can I ask you a question right now?
Sure.
Who have the Chiefs signed to their team new?
Nobody besides, I mean, not new. Chris Jones, he resigned.
It's the same thing every year with the really, really good teams. You lose players. Now, like, it's the Raiders always spend money on these big players. Now, what do? The Broncos spent all this money. Like,
it's
the Ravens
interesting
spent the
you
most
say
money
that.
last year in free agency because of Lamar, but we got players that fit this team.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, it's 7 hours. I'm really not.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that the Chiefs aren't pressed to make any big moves. I mean, how they really didn't last year either. You could just look at the receiving core. It really comes, and they won the Super Bowl. It really comes down to, and this proves it really comes down to coaching and quarterback and coaching, you know, at the end of the day. And again, I don't want to throw Harbs under the bus too much, right? I made a tweet the other day. Somebody had asked Ravens fans, how do you feel about John Harbaugh? And this is your time. If you're watching live, I want you guys to all answer that question. How do we feel about our head coach, John Harbaugh? Put it in the comments, put it in the live chat. I said, John Harbaugh is a great coach, but I think that the relationship has just ran its course, unfortunately, between him and the Baltimore Ravens. And that is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of Steelers fans who would tell you the same thing about Mike Tomlin. There's a lot of Patriots fans who told you the same thing about Bill Belichick. There's a lot of Eagles fans who said the same thing about Andy Reid, right? It's okay. It's okay. Sometimes these type of things happen. I think that it might be time for bro to move on, for John Harbaugh to move on and join a different team. I was just watching a clip from the Marlon Humphrey podcast with him and the what's the guy, Jack Settleman, I think.
Jack Settleman.
Yeah. Him and RG3 were on the show, and they were talking about how razor close, you know, John Harbaugh was to getting fired a couple of years ago. And we all know the story. We all know the story. Lamar Jackson came in and saved the day and saved John Harbaugh's job. And here we are, 6-7 years later. Still no Super Bowls. We've had some relative success, but still no Super Bowls, right? I just think it's time. And it doesn't really, it would feel like ripping the Band-Aid off, which I know a lot of fans and a lot of people in that organization would kind of feel uncomfortable with at this specific time, because it's not like John Harbaugh's been, it's not like the Ravens have been bad enough to warrant a head coaching change, but there's been certain moments, right, where it feels like he's gotten bullied. Right. It feels like he's gotten bullied in certain games, big games, right? That Titans game from 2019 comes to mind. This past AFC Championship game comes to mind. Certain games where it feels like he's gotten out-coached and really just bullied. So with that being said, I do think I am of the school of thought that the Ravens should probably move on from John Harbaugh. And like you said about 20 minutes ago, I wish we could have promoted Mike McDonald and had him be our next head coach, because I just think it's time. I just think it's time for Harbaugh. Let me see what you guys are saying in here. Let's see. J Prime 235 says, for me, Harbaugh was a great coach, and sometimes he feels too repetitive. But at the end of the day, he is still here, and until he's gone, I will stand by him. And I agree with that. I'm gonna stand by him as well. Yeah, but I am talking about the truth here. This is the truth. This is what's real. This is what we've been seeing as Ravens fans. You cannot deny that he has gotten bullied in some of the biggest games, and I can only imagine what it would be like in a Super Bowl. You know, and again, I know that Harbaugh's won a Super Bowl, but I don't trust him. I don't trust him in these big games anymore. I just don't. Sorry.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, I really can't disagree with you anything there. We have seen him get bullied. And it feels like every Steeler game we get bullied.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a pretty good measuring stick. Right. I mean, if you want to take the playoff success out of it, look at our record against the Steelers in the past couple of seasons. I think we've lost how many straight to the Steelers?
Or 1-7 in our last 8 games against them.
Yeah, exactly. Like that. I don't know. That says something to me. That says something to me. Yeah. I'm not cool with that either. Yeah. So okay, let's go ahead and talk about some of the other big free agency moves that have happened so far. A couple quarterback moves. One that comes to mind for me is Kirk Cousins, right? Kirk Cousins signing a 4-year, $180 million deal with the Falcons. Now, mind you, this is the same Falcons who passed up on Lamar Jackson last offseason, right? This one is kind of hard for me to wrap my head around. I just got done talking about. I led the episode with talking about how I don't understand bridge quarterbacks, aging bridge quarterbacks,
Yep.
like the Steelers are getting with the Russell Wilson. This one makes even less sense to me. Kirk Cousins, he is good, right? He is a little bit more than serviceable quarterback, right? Who I think he was a little bit of a merchant of Justin Jefferson and his success, what he was able to do. So if I'm a Falcons fan, I hate this move. Like I can't wrap my head around it. Are you seriously telling me for the next 4 years we're banking on Kirk Cousins to take us to the promised land? Because if I'm a Falcons fan, I don't know if I'm watching. What were your thoughts on Kirk Cousins getting this big deal?
Going from, no disrespect, going from Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison to Drake London and whoever is a really big downgrade. He's now made $330 million off of one playoff win. Yeah.
Let that sink in. For sure.
One playoff win. Has had, Stephon Diggs request a trade after playing with him. Justin Jefferson's been frustrated, when you see him playing with him. No hate to Kirk at all. I think he's a good quarterback.
Yeah.
Respect for getting the bag, but 180 coming off of a torn Achilles. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
That man loves playing in a dome too, doesn't he?
All I know is that whoever Kirk Cousins' agent is, that's the GOAT. That is the real MVP.
Yep.
Because I mean, this guy has made, I think the number was like $329 million in his career. That's just like off the guaranteed dollars, just the guaranteed dollars, right? That is insane. That is insane for somebody with one playoff win in 12 seasons. Like that, I don't know. You can't make this stuff up. You cannot make this stuff up, man. Yeah, and if I'm a Falcons fan, I do not like that. I do not like that at all. Because, I mean, you've seen what kind of league this is. We just got done talking about it's a quarterback and coaches league. If you don't have the quarterback, forget it. Forget it. And if you don't have the coach, you can damn sure forget it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not, or that might be the other way around. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen, man. So, hey, highway robbery. Yeah, you're right. You're right, Boz. You're right. His agent definitely deserves his flowers. Yeah, his agent is the GOAT, literally. Okay, a couple other moves that were made. Baker Mayfield re-signs with the Buccaneers on a 3-year, $100 million deal. I'm actually very happy for Baker Mayfield for getting that deal done, man. I mean, yeah, I think he belongs in Tampa. He had a really good year last season. I think that him and, of course, Mike Evans re-signing as well, that's huge. They'll get another year of chemistry. They'll get to run it back. I'm sure they're going to do some things in the draft. Not to say watch out for Tampa Bay, but they got a decent thing going right now. Not to say that Baker Mayfield is like, top tier quarterback, but again, more than serviceable. He's got a really good wide receiver. I think they're a couple pieces away from being really solid contenders, to be honest with you. Not to say that they'll win anything big, but yeah, go ahead.
I think you can put them in a contender for the NFC already. I think they're going to win their division. The NFC still is weak, in my opinion. Still think it's weak. The Niners right now, there's question marks. The Eagles look good, but I don't
say Eagles.
That downfall collapse last year has got to be studied. Like, what happened? They just lost their center. I know you got Saquon. They have AJ Brown, who I think is going to blow up this year and have an outburst on the sideline. Devonta Smith, I think, is a fucking solid ass receiver. I think it's like the Eagles number one in the NFC. Got to put the Lions up there. Had a good year last year. Niners are up there too. But like, who's your 4, 5, 6? Packers. I'm not mad at.
Yeah, Packers. Cowboys will always be in the mix.
Yeah, think the Bucks gotta be up there too. I think they can contend. There's your question marks in the NFC. There's like I think 2 really good teams, and then there's like everybody else.
Don't sleep on the Mike McDonald Seahawks either.
I don't know what they're gonna do with their quarterback situation. I don't think Mike McDonald trusts Geno Smith because he held him to 3 points in Boston. That whole offense at 3 points. He's like, yeah, not you, buddy. You couldn't score a touchdown in 60 minutes against me.
Yeah. No, I mean, I get that. I agree with that. Another quarterback. Another quarterback, though, I wanted to mention. Gardner Minshew signing with the Raiders. 2-year deal, $25 million. Another kind of bridge move, you know what I mean? I don't know what the Raiders really intend on doing with the Gardner Minshew, how far they really think that they're going to go. What were your thoughts on that, though?
He beat us last year. I really shouldn't be able to talk about my shit. He's better than Aiden O'Connell.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I'd feel bad. I mean, we're Ravens fans, so we're kind of spoiled a little bit, to be honest with you. But some of these other teams, man, I feel bad, man. I would feel really bad if I was a Falcons fan right now or a Raiders fan. Go ahead.
Do you know what sucks about the Raiders? The Chiefs won a Super Bowl in the Raiders stadium.
Yeah.
Their division rivals won a Super Bowl in their stadium. They just lost their running back, Josh Jacobs. They don't have a quarterback, but they signed Christian Wilkins to a $110 million deal. And that is the Raiders' way every single year. They do the same thing every year. They're going to sign one big player. You're going to get one big player, have one Devontae Adams. And then it just falls apart. And I hate to say it, their best coach, they let go, Rich Bisaccia. And John Gruden has been their best coach, except he just is a piece of shit. Hate to say it. I don't hate to say it. True, but they just can't catch a break. And it all starts with their owner. They have I don't think, what is it, Mark Davis in that awful ball cut. Yeah,
terrible.
He hires the wrong GM every time. They somehow manage to get every single first round pick wrong. They draft quite possibly the worst person in every single draft. They get arrested on something, they get a DUI or worse. Every single year it feels like with the Raiders. And they move to Vegas. Why? For this nice big flashy stadium where you don't win jack shit in it. I would hate to be a Raider. That's no disrespect. Matter of fact, give us Max Crosby. Just do that. Give us Max Crosby. Thank you.
Hey man, that would be amazing. Even though it won't happen, that'd be amazing. All right. So, and Dre says here, imagine being a Panthers fan. Yeah.
You're tickets selling for a couple of dollars. I mean,
yeah, it's bad. It's bad being a Panthers fan right now. Let's go ahead and get into some questions, shall we?
One final thing about the Panthers. Thing. They had to hear Cam Newton talk about him not diving on the football in the Super Bowl. That's the ultimate just dagger right there.
Yeah. That was a rough time for good old Cam Newton. Did you? I never watched his latest podcast when he talked about the fight that happened at his camp. Cam Newton.
I didn't watch it either.
I don't.
I just see the clips online.
I see the clips too. Yeah, same. Let's go ahead and get into some questions here. This first one's coming from our guy Chike, always coming through, always supporting. We appreciate you. Chike says, thoughts on Justin Fields potentially going to New England? Under Mayo, new head coach, kind of new culture there, right, in New England. I'm thinking about it. I wouldn't hate it, right? I know they just released Devontae Parker today as well. Fields is the type of guy where if you do not have, here's the thing. If they get Justin Fields, the New England Patriots, they're going to have to knock the draft out of the park, in terms of getting the weapons around him that are going to make him a viable option at quarterback, because without it, and you're just relying kind of on his legs and on who at the receiving core right now. I mean, is
Kendrick Bourne off of a torn ACL.
Exactly. Like it wouldn't move the needle.
No. Oh.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I don't hate it, but
Robert Kraft just kicked you off for a second.
Yeah, I saw. But man, I mean, what do you think? I really don't know how to feel about that one. Justin Fields to New England.
I don't know how I feel about Justin Fields. What has he shown me besides running?
That's a hot take now. I mean, we're Ravens fans. They might come after us for that one.
That's fine by me. My quarterback's throwing 36 touchdowns with me and you at wide receiver, with all due respect. He didn't have DJ Moore and Darnell Mooney and Cole Kmet.
That's still a hot
Think about
take.
Justin Fields. Fields shows flashes. Fields will play 3 or 4 really good games, and then they drop 3 points. And the Bears have just been in like, if I'm the Bears right now, what do you do? I don't know what you do. You have to, if I'm you, maybe I trade the first overall pick and try to get something else if you don't really like. I don't think they're really sold by Caleb Williams. I don't feel like we haven't heard nearly enough about him going number 1 compared to previous years. Yeah, K-Dog. Apparently, Fields sucked because of Sam Mustipher. Yeah, good times. Blaming the center on why the quarterback was throwing interceptions. I don't know. Like, I remember the Bears last year were playing like dog shit.
Mm-hmm.
Then Fields has this masterclass against the Lions at Soldier Field, and then they go back to losing again. It's just the same thing. It's very inconsistent play.
Yeah. You're right. I mean, that is a good point. We really don't know how to feel in its totality about Justin Fields yet. I mean, I've seen him have some good moments, but yeah, I mean, most of those moments were him running the ball. And again, you can't really say the same thing if you're a Lamar Jackson hater. You can't really say the same thing about Lamar Jackson. We've seen him do it with his arm time and time again. But yeah, I mean, I think that's why I said if he does go to New England, they're going to have to go crazy in the draft. They're going to have to hit on a lot of their picks. They're going to have to go ahead and get receiver. They're going to have to go out in free agency, pick up a guy or trade for a guy, something. Because if you do not put the proper weapons around him, just like most other quarterbacks, right? Unless your name's Patrick Mahomes, right? You're going to have to supply them with a good amount of weapons. And the Patriots just don't have that right now. So a naked Justin Fields going in is just that's not gonna work. What's up?
I found stats to back this up. I pulled up his game log from last year. This is the most typical Justin Fields thing ever. All right. That Thursday night game against the Washington Commanders. 15 for 29, 4 touchdowns, 282 yards. Absolutely on fire. 125.3 passer rating. The next game, 6 for 10, 58 yards, interception. Was knocked out the game, but played over half of the snaps for the Bears. Misses 4 games. All right. Comes back. They lose the heartbreaker to Detroit where they blew a lead. And then he throws for 217 in a 12-10 win against the Josh. I don't think it was. It was I think Nick Mullins at quarterback for the Vikings. And they go and beat the Lions. Throws for 223, 1 touchdown, and then loses to the Cleveland Browns 20-17. Throws 40 times, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, a 46.5 passer rating. It's just very inconsistent. He shows glimpses and then just falls apart.
Yeah. Now Jaguar's foot here brings up a good point. Fields, in fairness, was with an unstable franchise. That I can give him. That.
Stuff is.
Yeah. The Bears have kind of been in poverty.
Matt Nagy, I don't know why he was given a lot of chances. I'm not a big Eberflus believer. I'll tell you that. You know what I think would have really helped out Fields? Greg Roman at OC.
I could see that. Yeah, for sure. I mean, but still, though, I don't think it works as well when you don't have kind of like a security blanket, at least at tight end, like a Mark Andrews. Like, I don't think that Cole Kmet is that, right? So maybe it works to some extent, but maybe not to the extent that it did with Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
And I don't even think that, of course, Justin Fields is even in Lamar Jackson's stratosphere right now, to be honest with you. No. But yeah, I mean, wherever Fields goes, I mean, I hope he does well. I mean, I kind of like Justin Fields, to be honest with you. I want to see him do well. I want to see him have a legit fair shot with some good weapons. I would love that. But to this point, we really haven't seen too much. Now, it's not like the Kenny Pickett situation, right? It's not like the Kenny Pickett situation where, like I said earlier in the show, Kenny Pickett really hasn't shown us any ability that you can really pick out and say, hey, I can do something with that. I can work with that, but Justin Fields, he has in a couple different ways. So yes, he's inconsistent, but I think he needs the right pieces around him in order to bring the best out of him. Kenny Pickett, don't really see it. Don't really see it. What's up though?
If you only show people Kenny Pickett against the Ravens, you'd think he'd be a pretty damn good quarterback.
Facts.
And I didn't know he played in 12 games last year. 6 touchdowns, 4 interceptions.
Who?
Kenny Pickett.
Oh yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah, for his career, he's got 13 touchdowns and 13 interceptions. So
yeah, a couple of injuries too.
Right.
I never thought he was the right pick for them ever. I didn't think he was going to be a first rounder. Neither him or Malik Willis have really established themselves as quarterbacks. And Malik Willis sat, behind Tannehill and Will Levis, but I don't know, man. From the Steelers, signing Russell Wilson makes sense, but I feel like everything we're saying Fields needs kind of screamed the Pittsburgh Steelers. Kind of screamed it. Stability, not a great tight end, solid tight end, some guys to throw to, but a good coach. And that right there is what he hasn't had.
You know what the Steelers need at quarterback? They need a Josh Allen. They need somebody like that. Can you imagine Josh Allen on the Steelers? I just thought about that. Random thought just popped into my head. Josh Allen on the Steelers would be insane. Like the Steelers would probably be. They'd be incredible. They'd be probably winning the AFC North a good chunk of it. I mean, because listen, man, you pair up because Mike Tomlin, he inherited a Ben Roethlisberger, right? Already a stud quarterback, and he, rode his coattails for a decade. And then, Roethlisberger retires, and you have to go out and draft another kid. If that kid is not going to be, if he's not going to match the culture of being, a Pittsburgh Steelers, big, tough, rough, I don't think Kenny Pickett is that. He got drafted. There are people talking about the hand size and this and that. Oh, he only got drafted here because he went to Pitt. He's from around the area, that sort of thing. Like you said, I don't think that Kenny Pickett was ever their answer. It was never their guy. It was kind of forced to me. But we'll see what they do. I just don't think that the whole bridge quarterback getting a Russell Wilson and aging again, Russell Wilson, whose best days are behind him. I don't think that's the answer either. Let's see. We got speaking of Josh Allen. Look, somebody from the Bills YouTube, the Bills Bunker says just supporting other NFL YouTubers. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. It says Josh is ours.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
You guys definitely got a dude over there in Buffalo. Love what Josh Allen's been able to do for y'all. K-Dog's in here. Can we get to 50 likes? Them kids ain't going to eat, man. Y'all already know the deal here on the Purple Rain podcast. Hit the like button. Hit the like button down there, or else the kids are not going to eat, and you do not want that, okay? Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So, let me see. We'll go ahead and take this question here.
That's
this one. Let's see. I hope the Ravens signed Derrick Henry. What do you think the chances are for that? You go ahead and take this one, bro.
65%. I think
65% is high.
Yeah, I just think the money is the issue. And I think if we really want somebody, we can go and get them. We can make the right moves. Marlon Humphrey, Ronnie Stanley restructure.
Yeah.
Tyus Bowser, it's been nice. Farewell. A couple other restructures.
Yeah,
honestly, it can be done. 100%.
Right. I mean, it's because, like I said before, man, if you talk about a championship window, those windows are often found closing a lot more than they are opening, right? And you have to kind of push all your chips to the middle of the table, like we have to some extent we've done in the past couple of seasons, or at least we've tried, right? Last year, going out and getting a big name wide receiver to kind of shake things up. It was Odell Beckham Jr., but it was something. I think that this year we'll get another one of those type of, high-end, high-profile type of signings, and the hope that it is Derrick Henry. And you say 65%. I think that's a little bit high. I think if Derrick Henry and his agent are asking for anything over 13 mil flat, pretty much 13 mil per, that is, I think that the Ravens kind of rest on their laurels and they say, okay, well, we tried, and good luck to wherever you go, and he ends up going elsewhere. So I'm gonna probably say around like I'm gonna say like a 47% chance.
Okay.
I think as of right now, it's a little bit more likely that the Ravens don't do it as opposed to them actually going out and getting it done. And the only reason I say that at this specific point in time is because of the deals that have already been made. Of course, we know DeAndre Swift broke out this morning, even before noon hit. I think it was like right before noon hit. His deal kind of got leaked out, $8 million a year. Josh Jacobs, $12 million a year. Saquon Barkley, $12.6 million a year. So again, I think Derrick Henry can make a really good case. Yes, he's a little bit older than Saquon Barkley, but he can still make the case to make just as much, if not maybe a hair more, than Saquon Barkley. And we kind of talked about why on the last episode of the show. If you didn't see last episode, make sure you go back and watch that. That was a really good one. But yeah, man, I'm gonna rock out with 47%. You say 65%. I hope you are right. I hope you're right.
Yeah, I mean, he played out his full 4-year, $50 million contract with the Titans. The way he was talking on the Bustin' with the Boys podcast about how he almost, was traded to a team, a little bit of smiles in there. I think he wanted to come here, and I think EDC, I see him using some void years if we were to sign him a 2-year deal. Use some void years, push that money down the line. If you really want to win now, that's how I see it.
Because now's the time. Now's the time, and we've kind of seen, based off of last year, okay, yeah, we can make the AFC Championship game. We can be at the doorstep of the Super Bowl. We just need that extra little push, right? And I think that extra little push is a Derrick Henry for us, and then also, of course, doing well in the draft, getting some offensive linemen, kind of retooling that position. At this point, gonna have to get DB, and then throw a receiver in there too.
Final point from K-Dog. Talking to you, Sutton. Let's talk UFC 299. He also says, boxing. Anthony Joshua folding Francis Ngannou like a lawn chair. 2 knockdowns before he got his ass knocked out. Not a good look. On a Friday too. Mm-hmm. I'm sitting there. I'm chilling in my room, and I'm like, wait, there's boxing on right now on a Friday.
Right.
I'm like, go and turn it on. And I saw that.
Man, I tell you, I missed the fight. I was leaving the gym when I realized that the fight was coming on Friday. I was like, really? This is like the first time that a fight this big is coming on a Friday. Like, I've seen fights happen on Sunday, but on a Friday, that's kind of crazy. So it took me off guard, and I didn't get to watch the fight, but I did see the highlights. Of course, I saw the knockout. I saw the knockdowns. From what I saw, it didn't really look like Francis was at all comfortable in there with Anthony Joshua. I mean, he got set up pretty much perfectly. He got outclassed. That's really what it came down to. And I think that he does need to go back and fight more in MMA, because boxing is one of those sports where if you have not been training since you were young, you are not going to just pick up the gloves and just start dominating people. I don't care if you were a former UFC champion, if people consider you the baddest man on the planet. No, I mean, when you're just dealing with your hands, right, and footwork, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different, a lot of bit different, to be honest with you. So I guess no real surprise there, and I think he's going to go back to the PFL, which is where he's signed right now, and he's going to fight. I think it's Hennet Ferreira or something like that, some badass heavyweight that's taking over PFL right now. So I'll be excited for that. I want to see him back in mixed martial arts. But in terms of what else K-Dog says here, Sugar Sean is legit. Yes, I do believe that Sugar Sean is legit. He, oh my God, just completely pieced up Chito Vera the whole entire fight. I mean, you guys saw that knee. Shout out to Chito Vera for not getting knocked out cold, because I mean, he took some shots in that fight where, if it was most other guys, they would have went down. But Chito Vera has a granite chin. He's got a heart of steel, and I love Chito Vera's story. So it's kind of sad seeing him lose, to be honest. But Sugar Sean, I mean, he's doing his thing now. Whether or not he can beat, because listen, Chito Vera was not one of the top contenders in the division. You know, the main reason that Sean O'Malley was able to fight Chito Vera is because Chito Vera is the only man to beat Sean O'Malley in the UFC. And the last time that they fought, Sean O'Malley, he got injured. He, hurt his leg due to what Chito Vera was able to do, kicking his leg. So, of course, Chito Vera, he won that fight in all fairness, but people kind of thought it was a fluke. And he came back, he avenged that loss. So, shout out to Sean O'Malley. But his next fight against Merab Dvalishvili, that is going to be his toughest matchup yet. And if you look at the odds, I mean, Sean O'Malley's already a huge underdog in that fight, and rightfully so, because Merab is a beast. He will take you down and hold you down. He does not care, and he will beat you up. And that was one of the things that I thought that Chito Vera could have did a lot better in that fight. He could have taken the fight to Sean a little bit more, clinched up a little bit more, tried to make it a little bit more dirty than it was, but instead he stayed on the outside, and that's where Sean O'Malley was, perfectly comfortable with him being, and he was able to just kind of touch him up. Also, your boy Kevin Holland, he took a little bit of a beating.
Don't want to talk about it. I'm going for the night. I'll talk.
Look, bro. Look, man. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, because here's the thing. I bet on Kevin Holland right before the fight. So I felt your pain.
All my takes.
I was like, you know what? My rationale was, Michael Venom Page, he's been knocked out before for kind of doing too much. I think that Kevin Holland's going to come out there. He's going to get that straight right. He's going to catch Michael Venom Page coming in. He's going to time it just perfectly, like I've seen him do before to other guys, and that just never happened. Michael Venom Page was just too fast for him. Even after the very first round, Kevin Holland went to his corner and said, he's way faster than we thought. Like, he was defeated after the first round. It was crazy. It was wild to watch in the corner. He was saying, he's too fast. The body shots aren't there. I don't know what to do, basically.
And that's my problem with him. It feels like after that, it just feels like he just starts fucking playing around. And he doesn't take this shit seriously. It's like once he knows he's not going to win, he doesn't take it seriously. So he can kind of say that. And it's so frustrating about being a fan of his. I've seen like 3 of the past 4 fights, like his losses I've seen, doesn't take this shit serious at all. And I don't think I ever went about. I mean, he has a hell of a chin. I'll tell you that. He was fucking eating shits. But that's like my biggest problem with him. Like I like him because he's a good personality. But outside of that, like I mean, he had his one chance in the second round. He got him down. I thought he was gonna maybe try to make him submit. Got out of that, and I'm like, yep, there goes the only chance for you to win.
Yep.
Yeah, that was after that. I'm like, yeah, it's cooked. I'm sitting there, and the lays are ruined. Yeah, not fun.
Yeah, not fun for Kevin Holland. And it was kind of funny how, like, in the 5th round, you could see his frustration. He was kind of like mocking MVP. And it's just like, come on, Kevin. Like,
that's what you
had your chance. Right? This is what you do. Like, man, you're getting a taste of your own medicine and you don't like it. It kind of felt like he was being a sore loser right there. Yeah. But man, shout out to MVP. I want to see him continue to fight. I love the antics. A lot of people don't like the antics, the showboating in the octagon. I like it. I think it's fun. Yeah, I think it's fun. And if you don't like it, especially as an opponent, beat him up. Do something about it. You know what I mean? The fact that he's able to like beat you up and then style on you at the same time, I mean, hey, you can't really be mad at that. Let me see what else K-Dog says here. Poirier clean, Benoit Saint Denis clock. Yeah. Dustin Poirier, man, he just continues to show why he is one of the greatest of all time in the sport. He has his ups and downs. Of course, he had the head kick loss to Justin Gaethje last year, but I mean, his resume is just, he's beaten guys like Max Holloway. He's beaten guys like Conor McGregor, Benoit Saint Denis now. I mean, there's a lot of guys that he has taken out over the years. So hats go off to Dustin Poirier. He is one of the GOATs of this sport. And you said Jack Della Maddalena is real. Yeah, I like what he did against Gilbert Burns. I think he was on his way to losing that fight if Gilbert Burns kind of keeps control for the last minute and a half. But he was able to get up, scrambled his way up to his feet, and he landed that knee, perfect flush knee. I think the thigh had hit him, but I mean the force was multiplied by Gilbert kind of dipping into it. So it is what it is there. So overall, a great night of fights. UFC 299 was absolutely phenomenal. Best fight card, best pay-per-view that I've seen in a while.
One thing I want to talk about, the prelim, Curtis Blades, that win.
That was a good one, yeah.
I saw your tweet. I couldn't agree more, mainly because I had him on my leg. Sitting there, what you say, like dick sniffing or like what were you saying?
It was crotch sniffing.
You said something. Crotch sniffing, yeah.
Yeah.
And that I lost him when I saw that because I was mad because I picked him. I'm like, you know what? I can't be mad because that's a funny ass tweet. I can't be mad.
Man, I mean, that's what Jailton Almeida's been known to do. I mean, he's strictly like a wrestler. He wants to like wrestle. What a lot of MMA watchers will call it. They call it like wrestle fucking. Like he's trying to wrestle fuck you. You know what I mean? Like that's what he was trying to do. I mean, first round he came out, was holding him down, was taking him down time after time after time. Second round came, he tried to do the exact same thing, but at heavyweight you have to be very, very careful where you put your head, and if you put your head like right in strike, listen. He tried to drive right into him, like, up against the octagon, and when you're trying to take a guy down as big as Curtis Blades, it's gonna take some time, right? So Curtis Blades had the time to kind of find his head and just start raining down hammer fists, and before you know it, you're gonna go unconscious if you take too many of those from a guy as big as Curtis Blades. So that happened. And then there was one more fight. I think there was a guy. What was his name? I think it was like Robert Despain or something like that. It was on the prelims as well, the early prelims. He knocked out a guy. And it was just a devastating knockout. The guy, he knocked out his opponent. He fell to the ground, right? He fell to the ground. He tried to throw a high kick. He fell to the ground, lost his balance, and his opponent tried to rush him right before he got back up, right? The dude throws punches as he's getting up and like moving away from him and knocks him out that way. It was crazy to watch. I think that he's going to be one of the next big heavyweights in the UFC. So watch out for him. I mean, the heavyweight division is kind of in shambles right now, if we're being honest with you. It's just not a whole lot of really good competition. But watch out for that guy. But okay. That is going to be the end of the question segment and subsequently the end of this episode of the Purple Rain podcast. Thank you guys so much. This has been an amazing episode. Of course, the off season is in full swing now. Free agency is here. We didn't get the big news about whether or not the Ravens are going to pick up a running back, but I suspect us to maybe get that news. Alex says there's a 65% chance that we get that news this week or sometime in the near future. So hopefully he's right. Hopefully my 47% prediction is wrong, and we get Derrick Henry before the week is out. And we will see you guys on Thursday to talk all about it if anything does change between now and then. Now, before you guys get out of here, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel as well. And with that being said, I'm going to let my guy Alex take us out.
Yes, thank you all for coming through to episode 229 of the Purple Rain podcast. As always, stay positive, test negative.
And never, ever, ever, ever forget, even on the rainiest of days, to call God. This has been episode 229 of the Purple Rain podcast. We're going to catch you guys in the next